In this episode, you'll learn how to back down a rowing boat.
Feel the grip of the oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rebecca Caro, and I'm back with another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Now, today, I'm answering a question from Christy, who wrote to us explaining that she's a 68-year-old recreational rower, and I'm not that stable. I'm struggling to learn to back the boat down. Some people turn their oars upside down, some don't. I've tried with blades squared as usual, but I'm missing something. The blades get sucked down on the recovery, and my balance is worse. There are not many videos out there on backing. Have you got any ideas? Well, yes, absolutely, Christy. Ideas are plenty, but also practical suggestions. So let's start with your first question, which is blades up or blades down? What's this mean? Well, this is an oar. This is blades up, where the oar is the normal way up with the chopper edge going down into the water. Blades down is this way up, where they turn the oar upside down, and what's normally the top edge is the lower edge and goes into the water. Now, I've rowed in a few different countries, and I find different countries are different. Where I learned to row in the UK, we did blades down. We turned the oar upside down to back the boat. In New Zealand, where I now live, it's blades up. I think there is some rationale to both, and I want to run through them. So the blades down, upside down version, I think the rationale here is that the oar spoon is curved so that it grips the water. And when you're backing down, you want the curve to correctly grip some water and push the water backwards. So the idea is that you are actually getting a hold of the water. The blades up, by contrast, favors the fact that the oar has pitch on it. It is angled. It's not a 90-degree square from the shaft, because of the oarlock has a tilt on it towards the stern of the boat. So the blade, instead of being completely vertical, is actually slightly tilted. And if you turn the oar upside down and it's slightly tilted, it makes the oar go the wrong way. So that sucking down feeling that I think you experience might partially be due to turning the oar upside down. My personal view now is blades up is simpler. You always leave your oar the same way. And because you then don't have the effect of the angle of pitch, but you also don't quite have enough, a big enough sort of spoon to grip the water, you have a little bit of a compensation. When I'm backing down, usually the boat is stationary or going very, very slowly. And so being able to grip a large amount of water, I think, is less of an issue. So my preference is blades up, but you should try both and make your own mind up. Now, how to learn backing down. When I publish this podcast episode, in the show notes and on our website will be 2 videos which I will link to, which you can then use to learn. But for now, I'm going to do an oral explanation. Start to learn backing down, whether you're in a crew boat or a single, makes no difference, by sitting at the finish with your legs straight and your arms straight. It's really important that when your legs are straight, your full foot is flat on the foot stretcher. Your heels and your toes are pressed into the foot stretcher. Why? Because the foot stretcher and your feet are the only bit that's firmly attached to the boat. Although you're sitting on a seat, the seat can move and it's not a reliable point of leverage. So your feet must be flat on the foot stretch. If they're not, you might need to adjust something so that you can get your feet flat. Square your blades with your arms straight. If you're sculling, make sure your hands are nested tightly so that you've got your left hand is above and in front of your right. You don't want them stacked one on top of each other. And if you're doing sweep, make sure that the boat is level between you and your partner who's rowing on the other side. And so that your handle height, with a tiny little bit of upward pressure on your thumbs, means that the top surface of the oar spoon is level with the water surface. So it's fully buried under the water. So with the boat level, you have established the height that your handles need to be at to keep the boat level and to keep the oar spoon under the water. The first thing to do to learn backing down is rowing in place. By that, what I mean is you're going to pull your handles towards you and then push them back away from you. So you're sitting still. The only thing that's moving is your arms. They're straightening and then bending backwards and forwards. So don't take the oars out of the water. Leave them and check that you've got the depth correct. So just get the feeling of what it feels like to push your handles away from you with the oars underwater. That's the feeling of backing down. And then obviously pull your handle back towards you till your handles touch your body. And obviously that's the feeling of the normal rowing stroke. So you should be quite familiar with that. What you have to notice at this point is that the oars stay at the correct depth. And the key to this is the height of your handle. So your handle needs to stay horizontal. Any upwards or downwards movement on the handle affects the blade in the water. So that feeling of your blade diving is likely caused by you varying the height of the handle. Rowing in place, continue to progress, and this time use your arms and your body. So you get a longer stroke and you get a sense of pushing the handles away. And when your arms are fully straight, then your body follows and you end up leaning forwards and then do the reverse. Swing back and then draw your arms. So you get that feeling of what it should feel like, and you can counteract any diving or sucking down, which probably is caused by your handles going too high. So horizontal handles, the water is level, therefore your handles also need to be level. The next thing you need to move towards is moving to a half slide back down. And this time, take your oars out of the water when you've finished the backing down. And then if you get more confident, you can move to 3/4 slide and then full slide. Now, before you get to the actual backing down movement, you need to be able to take your oars out of the water. And so the oars need to run along the surface of the water when they're not being used. So starting by backing down, if you're sculling, back with both oars. Don't do it as if you're turning the boat. Turning the boat is something a little different, and we can cover that another time. But what I suggest you do is you take your oar, and when you take it out of the water, you turn it and counter feather it so that the tip of the oar is resting on the surface of the water, and the oar is effectively upside down. So it's not your normal feathered position. It's exactly the opposite. And keep the tip of the oar touching the water. What this does is two things. Firstly, it gives you a point of reference. With the oar flat, feathered, although it's counter feathered, it's upside down, but with the oar flat, it won't go under the water without significant effort on your part to really lift your handles. So it gives you a reference point with the oar just touching the water, and that tells you how high to have your handles when the oars are out of the water. So when you're doing the recovery for the backing. And secondly, that then helps you to keep your handles at the right height. Again, I can't emphasize enough. I think your handle heights are key to learning how to back down. So you can then take small strokes. You can try this first, arms only, and then arms and body, and then move to half slide. Back down. When you finish the backing movement, take the oar out of the water and counter feather it while you return to the catch. And then you're going to do another back. Remember, the catch for backing down starts with the handles next to your body. That's when you square it. Push the handles away, take them out of the water and counter feather them. And it may help if you're in a single and you're learning to do this, to do it one side at a time so that you get a little more confident. When you do that, leave the other oar flat on the water and remember that both your handles need to be horizontal. You can hold the boat level with just one oar. So you can actually just leave one oar flat on the water and keep that handle at the same height. It may help to have that handle next to your body so you've got a reference point. It's always touching your shirt, while the other oar can lift out of the water and you can back down and you can do it square blades while you get used to it. And you can keep the boat level and just back with one oar. You can then progress from there. I will share 2 videos which will help you. One is about how to improve your backing skills, and the other one is about turning the boat. Now, when we turn the boat, we use backing on one side and rowing normally on the other side. But in that video, it explains the counter feathered oar. So how to do that upside down counter feathering on the recovery and how to use that to have a reference point for your what is horizontal, the water, and your blade tip on the surface of the water so that you keep the boat level with that one hand or with both hands while you're on the recovery. And that will then give you confidence to move back to backing on the next stroke. So a quick spin through backing the boat down and how to prevent your oars diving under the water while you're learning how to back. And remember, as you get more confident, do it with more pressure, because backing down is often needed to be done at some speed and to actually get the boat moving, particularly if the reason you're backing down is because you were about to hit a tree or the bank. So get confident about doing it with pressure so that you actually can effectively move your boat, particularly if you're rowing on moving water. That's going to have, double the effect. It is a really useful skill and definitely a worthwhile thing to practice. If you find it challenging, practice it every time you go on the water. You might try practicing 100 meters of backing down or 500 meters of backing down. Or as my friend in London discovered, he hit a moored barge and broke the bow off his boat. And he couldn't row normally because it filled with water. So he had to back down all the way to the boathouse. And that was a couple of miles that I recall. Steve, if you're listening, that was you I was thinking about. Jolly expensive error. Till next time, keep listening. I'll see you next week.
We are part of the Rowing Chat Podcast Network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.